Welcome to Wednesday Night Undress, the podcast that introduces little stories that you need to know about. So Trump does his first press conference for 6 or 9 months, and two interesting things happened. One was that he wasn't prepared to talk to CNN. Well, who could blame him? I mean, when they broadcast to the nation that he likes watching prostitutes piss on each other, then, it's not really unforgivable when he says, I'm not going to take questions from you. But the interesting thing was that he introduced his lawyer, a nice lady who had prepared and got herself ready. And she explained why and how Trump was going to separate himself and divest himself and do all things like that. Then we find out a little bit more about the lawyer firm. If you happen to be doing multi-million-dollar deals in Russia, who do you go to? You go to an international firm of lawyers with 2,000 partners. Guess who she works with? Yes, that very Russian advisory firm of solicitors. We call them solicitors, by the way, in England, not lawyers. They're called solicitors. You may wonder why not. Let me gently introduce our panel for tonight's debates. The magic Dr. Orlando.
Yes.
The indefatigable Kathleen Taylor.
Hello.
The legendary Tyler Durden.
Hey, what's good?
What's up? Yes, that marvellous sophistication, Jane Carter.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Fresh from southeast Kansas, know what I mean, yeah? The Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones, Ivo Ivanov.
So much fun ignoring you.
It is really, isn't it?
So refreshing.
And me, Jeremy Taylor. I'd like to start this week's podcast with an indulgence, if I might, since it's the first one of the new year, probably, maybe. One of my favourite BBC radio shows for more than 40 years is a show called Desert Island Discs. You're a castaway on a desert island. What music would you take? And what one luxury would you take? You've already got whatever your favourite religious book is and the works of Shakespeare if you want them. This is about entertaining yourself. It's not about taking special tools with you or porn or anything like that. It's how would you like to entertain?
Oh my God.
How can you discount porn if you say this is about entertaining
No,
yourself?
this is just about entertainment.
I'm sorry, is porn on entertainment?
Well, not for me. It's serious
Well,
stuff.
for Jeremy, it's like food.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's a necessity.
Yeah. So, as I say, you're a castaway on a desert island. What music would you take, and what one luxury would you take? And you're allowed to take 5 lots of music if you want, and a luxury. Let's go with Dr. Orlando.
If I had to pick
Prince.
one, yes, that'd be it.
Yep.
Like, there's
was a
really
given.
no other question. Like, it would be the Prince catalog. That's what I would take.
Anything else?
I don't need anything else. I got Prince.
Vibrator? Or anything
Oh,
like
we
that?
just
We
talked
talked
about
about porn and sex. And that's not
I'm sorry.
entertainment.
Sorry, silly me.
The one thing that I would take is a set of encyclopedia, because if I haven't said it here before, I really like learning shit, and the idea that I would be by myself on a desert island with nothing to read that I can actually glean more information from would be annoying. So if I had a set of encyclopedia, I could read and entertain myself and possibly figure out some new stuff to build while I'm there on the island.
Jane.
Okay, so I didn't know how many we were allowed. So just one luxury
You can,
Well, my
this
one
is
luxury
just a
would
podcast,
be-
so you could take what you like.
matches, like some way for
Matches.
fire, because
We
I
don't need
cannot
no
handle
stinking
eating
matches.
raw things. So that really would be my.
You don't like
luxury.
eating raw things.
Except for vegetables and fruit, but like
Oh, I
meats,
see, right.
know,
Yes.
fish, that kind of stuff. No.
What about music?
Music, I would, if I didn't know we could have so many, but
Yeah.
Pink Floyd's Division Bell would be one of
that's
my.
surprising.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean
that
of
mean?
all of their albums, Division Bell, really.
Yep.
That's really surprising.
I like that one, and there's even a song on there that makes you feel like you're marooned on an island. could pontificate while listening to that song.
Absolutely,
Wouldn't
every
that be-
Pink Floyd song does that.
But wouldn't that be like putting two mirrors in front of each other,
No.
listening to
I don't know what it is
desert
about that album
island
I love
song
so much,
while
but I
you're
just do.
on a desert island song?
Dvorak
listening
and
to a
Vivaldi are my favorites composers of symphonies, etc.
Dvorak?
And then, but those were the only two because I didn't know how many we could have. But that's
Okay.
it.
What about Tyler?
I would kind of echo what Jane said. I would take, instead of just one, I would take the whole catalog of Pink Floyd. But knowing that I can pick more than that, I would also take the whole catalog of Tool and Nine Inch Nails and Black Sabbath and probably Pearl Jam. Those would be what I would take as far as music. As far as my luxury item, hands down, I would take my guitar. That's what I would take. That way I could at least entertain myself.
It's
And
a
maybe
Spanish
I would take
guitar
my
electric.
cat. It's just an acoustic guitar.
Right.
And maybe I take my cat. That way I'm not lonely all the time.
Please tell me your cat's named Wilson.
No, unfortunately not. But he is named Lucian, so maybe that sounds close
Yeah.
enough.
Kathleen, what would you like to take to?
Well, I think in terms of music, I'm not a big follower of music. I would not take any rock whatsoever. Happy to leave that behind. I think
Why are we friends?
lately I have been enjoying listening to a cappella groups. And I think I would like to have human voices with me. So I would take a whole selection of people singing together. No extra music, just people.
Well, what about your luxury?
My luxury would be a freezer full of ice cream.
Oh, that's a good call.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, you said luxury. I mean, matches are a necessity. Freezer full of ice cream. It's almost a
Not
necessity.
just one, but a whole freezer.
Oh, yeah.
Good move.
How big is the
Ta-
freezer?
Take
It's infinite.
Titanic.
Yeah. And refillable. Yeah.
We'll come to Evo in just a moment, but it's a sad but truth tale that we will probably find Amelia Earhart's aeroplane in 2017. They're very close to it, and there's a very good chance that they'll
Where is
find
it?
her.
How do you
And-
know that?
Yeah.
Because they found the undercarriage to a Lockheed Electra on the island.
Really?
Wait. Where did they find this?
On an island called Nicomaru,
Which is
out in the ocean somewhere.
That's
But
very specific.
Yeah, that's-
but
that
when we talk
pinpoints it
about
perfectly.
luxuries,
Yeah, it was on a route.
it's thought that she managed to get out of the aircraft, and she wasn't hurt. Her co-pilot was very badly hurt, it seems, and so she grabbed a few things and made it up the beach. And you can see that the things that they found, her face, I don't know what you ladies,
Powder
her
compact.
powder compact. They found a compact from the right age and the type that she used.
Wow, that's amazing.
And although it's sad to say she was probably ended up being eaten by crabs, horrible way to die, but that was her luxury. Ivo, what music would you take if you were a castaway, or how would you entertain yourself, and what would
damn
your
it,
luxury be?
The
Anti-crab
music,
cream.
yeah.
No, really, come on, let's try and do this properly.
Well, for music, I was thinking about some classical music because I do like classical music. But now that Kath mentioned that she wants human voices, that kind of makes sense because number one problem for marooned people is they go insane because that internal dialogue, from what I've heard, if you're on your own, overpowers you. You start going nuts. You need a human voice, and that's a good point. So I was thinking, I love Led Zeppelin. I love Pink Floyd, but two people already said Pink Floyd, so I'm not gonna go with it. Pink Floyd's a good escapist music that transports you, and that's a good thing to have when you want to be somewhere else. You know, it's psychedelic music. It enters your subconscious, takes you places. So Pink Floyd's good, but I like Led Zeppelin for some of the same reasons. And I remember listening to the very first Led Zeppelin album, which was actually produced in 1968, and it was incredible. I could not believe, and to this day I can't believe that it's an analog, mixed using analog technology album, because it is so complex, it is so layered, and sometimes, like way back, I've spent hours deciphering the tracks, listening to the bass, trying to listen to the bass separately, the drum line, the guitars, distinguishing whether in the Dazed and Confused, in the introduction, there's a part where Robert Plant's voice, the Jimmy Page's guitar sounds like Robert Plant's voice, and it's so confusing. I've tried for hours to figure out whether it's his voice or the guitar, and you can't tell. So I can spend a lot of time analyzing that. So
Is that sort of like the Batman theme where they go Batman, and you don't know whether it's Batman by
it goes like
humans?
that. And it's a guitar, but it sounds exactly the same pitch
Cool.
as Robert Plant's voice, and it's so weird and beautiful at the same time. Anyway, that's a good thing to have. I love some classical music that I would like to have, like some Baroque music by Johann Sebastian Bach or Tommaso Albinoni's Adagio. Vivaldi's a good one to have too. So, in terms of music, I mean, it's an endless topic. I can go on and on, but I will probably get Led Zeppelin.
Luxury. What would your luxury be?
Powder Compact would be a good one to have. When you're. How about a boat? Boat is a good thing to have, or is that not a luxury?
That's not allowed.
you
no.
know,
A large rubber ribbed ski
rubber
boat.
boat.
Yeah.
How about fishing net? Or we are talking about survival though.
No,
Luxury.
you got that. That's
You got all that survival stuff.
all
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
you
So
know.
luxury.
Yeah. What
A
luxury
basketball.
would you like?
I would like to have a book called "How to Survive on an Island."
But there's one luxury that I know there's one luxury, and I know you well.
Yeah.
That you haven't mentioned, and I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it, and it pretty much goes everywhere with you. Your harmonica.
Yes, I was thinking about this when you said the guitar. I was thinking I'm gonna have my blues harp with me, and probably become the greatest blues harmonica of all time that nobody has ever heard because nobody will find me. But I will spend time perfecting the
So
harmonica.
you'll have plenty of time to
And
practice.
I regret, what I do is I drive and play. Like I drive and I play the harmonica at the same time, and that's my time to improve my skills playing harmonica. And I always lament the lack of time to get better. I just don't have time. So that would be perfect. Yeah,
I don't know whether you know this, but I actually play the harmonica.
we
I
should
can do
jam.
flamenco on the harmonica.
That's fantastic.
Don't believe a word
Yeah.
he says on that. No.
We should jam.
So, because betting her means that I'm giving you the money if I win. What should I get if I actually get hold of your harmonica right on the podcast and play flamenco music to you on a harmonica?
Do you want to try that?
What do you think I ought to get from her?
What's stopping you doing that right now?
He's negotiating.
I'm
He's negotiating through me with his wife, which is so bizarre.
I have never. I've been married to him now for 15 years. I've never seen him touch a harmonica.
Yes.
I had a Hona. Is it
Yes.
a Hona? Yeah.
Hona.
Hona.
Yeah. So, what should you get?
Yeah, you see.
I don't know. I mean, just
You see, don't you guys, I mean, this is going off script a bit, but don't you guys have secrets from your partners? I mean, my
And this
favorite.
one is going to be brought out. If UFO doesn't bring his harmonica, I'm going to bring the harmonica and have you play us something on air.
Yeah.
and if you can't play it, then you have to give up something.
Yeah.
If you actually
Okay.
play a good flamenco, you get
No more
two
pork
nights off
chops
the
for-
couch.
for-
Why don't you bet your new toy?
Don't you glower at me in
Why
that
don't you
tone
bet your
of
new
voice.
toy, buddy?
Why don't I what?
Why don't you bet your new toy?
You're a
Yeah.
little bastard.
I'm just saying. If you want something
For the
to really barter
listeners,
with,
I've
if
just got
you're
myself
honest, if you're honest and you can really do this, let's see some confidence, buddy.
I need to practice a bit, but I think I can
All
get
right.
away with it.
A bit, like 2 years.
Exactly.
This will be interesting. Yeah, you can probably do it.
So let's go on to more interesting things, perhaps. La La Land, the musical, has just won 7 Golden Globes. Are film musicals back? And if they are, what's your favourite and why? Let's start with Kat. All right, we can start with Dr. Lowe. We started with you last time, so we'll start with Kathleen.
Well,
Are they back, and what's your favourite?
Mine's been
and why?
out there for a long time. My all-time favorite has always been The Music Man. And I really don't want to see musicals come back because Honestly, very few of them are very good. And I'd rather see a decent story. Musicals tend to have people singing stuff when they should be saying it.
And saying it when they should be singing.
Dr.
Yeah.
Orlando. Are they back?
No, they're not back. They've never actually left.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Musicals have always been a function of our entertainment, or more specifically of movie entertainment, film entertainment. And my theory is that that's because movies came out at the same time that comic opera became popular in Britain and vaudeville was popular here in America. So we have this tradition of song and dance. The first movie came out the very first movie is from, 1906. So we're talking literally smack dab in the comic opera tradition in Britain and the vaudeville tradition here in America.
Yeah.
So when movies first became popular, it makes sense to me that the folks that were paying for the movies decided we're going to do what we know people like. Because we see that right now. We see that even with our fragmented market, we see that movies that are massively popular get repeated over and over. So when you look back at the movies, like I just picked 1929 just as a for example, and that looks like it's actually like the apex of popularity for musicals. There were 61 musicals released in 1929, whereas this year,
just in this, in English.
yes, just in America,
Okay.
16 feature films were some form of musical, Western musical, comedy musical. They have. I found 5 or 6 different delineations, but they're all musicals. Meanwhile, this year we've had 8, and 4 of those are kids' movies. So that is telling, I think. But when you look at movies, pretty much since 1960. We've not had a single year where we've had that many movies like we did back in 1929. So my thought is, no, musicals aren't back, but they don't need to be because A, they've never died, and we've got such a fragmented market at this point that musicals will continue to thrive for the people that want to go see them.
And what's your favorite musical?
For me, it is Fiddler on the Roof, without a moment's hesitation.
Fiddler on
That's
the
a
Roof.
good one. Yeah.
So we've got Fiddler, Music Man.
They
Jane,
gotta
what about
have
you?
tunes that you keep with you.
What do you
See,
think?
for me, that wasn't it.
Are they back on? And do you have a favorite?
I tend to lean more on what Lewis was saying about they never really left. It's just that I feel like the popularity of, depending on, the generations that you sit around. I've always been a fan of theater. I really don't care about musicals. I never have. I feel they're absurd. People bursting into song at random times. I'm gonna kill you. Let me tell you about it. I'm like, it's so stupid. Guess what that one was? West Side Story. Okay. When I was a kid, of course, I liked them. I love Disney films too. They're all musicals, I would have to say though, there was one that I really liked that actually went mainstream about 10 years ago, I guess. It's Sweeney Todd. I loved it. I liked how dark it was. It was bizarre, and the music is quite... There's one song in particular called A Little Priest, and it is so witty. They're trying to figure out who to put in meat pies. Who would make the best human meat pie? And the priest is the one they sing. Anyway.
Okay, then.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. Check it out sometime.
Tyler.
I would also concur that musicals really never went away. They've always been around. And kind of harking on what Cass said earlier, that musicals need something more than just music. You need something else to entertain me. Mine is a Little Shop of Horrors, because there's a little science fiction, there's a little comedy, there's a little thrill a little bit, and so that would be my favorite without a doubt. And then the remake that they did some years ago with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin and Bill Murray, what have you, that was fantastic. That was just the perfect way you could redo that movie in my mind.
Eva, do you have a musical that you like?
Yeah, well, let me start by saying that musicals are pretty much unbearable. And
That's kind of that's why I like Little Shop of Horrors.
yes. And what is your country? I mean, your country, Jeremy, exited the European Union, but what are they doing to stop this idiot Frank Lloyd Webber? This guy is unbearable. It's just everything he does, I can't stand it. It's this artificial sweetening, cliche-ridden crap. It
All
just
cloaked in
and he
fake
makes
fog.
millions and millions of dollars. Please stop him. That being said, and just people randomly bursting into song, very unpleasant and stupid. But there's some musicals that do this organically. That the song comes as a organic continuation of the dialogue, and I'm gonna name a few.
South Park.
South Park, actually Stone and Matt Stone and what was the other guy's
Trey
name?
Parker.
Trey Parker.
They made a fantastic musical about Mormons.
Yeah, that
and
was
that's
funny.
That's
That was
fantastic.
funny, yeah.
But
That's great.
how about Hair? Hair, I've seen Hair maybe 100 times. The Milos Forman movie, Hair. Just absolutely spectacular. The music is incredible. It is right on time, on cue, and the songs are unforgettable. Hamilton and La La Land were. I watched La La Land, by the way. La La Land's an excellent musical. We have two guys that can't sing with very thin voices. We have songs that are not very memorable, but the way it's shot, it's so magical and beautiful in long, uninterrupted shots. Almost no editing. And such incredible chemistry between the two stars that I've rarely seen. And actually, that movie took me back to what this movie was basically trying to do is replicate Moulin Rouge's success in the 90s. Moulin Rouge was an enormous hit, musical that came out of nowhere. This is kind of like Moulin Rouge, and I love the ending of this movie. Not gonna give it away. But it is so wonderful. It's magic, pure magic. Loved it. It should win a lot of awards. My favorite musical, though, is an incredible movie by Bob Fosse called All That Jazz. This is a spectacular piece of cinema that will survive the test of time, and it is incredible because it's a philosophical musical. It's about the artist and his self-destruction, and it's deliberate self-destruction because he pays with his life for his art. So he has to compensate for producing great art by submerging himself in self-destructive behavior, and he knows it. So ultimately the movie is about death and the sacrifices you're willing to do in order to achieve your purpose in life. And death is that's the most incredible representation of death I've ever seen. It is represented by extremely beautiful 20-year-old Jessica Lange. And death is dressed in white, and is unlike the usual depiction of death, which is dressed in black with a hood and a sickle. We have this incredibly beautiful woman is basically flirting and seducing him into this relationship. And at the end of the movie, they both love each other. And it's a beautiful way to go for him. And the death is basically salvation for him.
I agree with the Moulin. I've seen it. I've got it memorized, but it's only because, and I thought about this. I attribute it to a lonely time in my life, and I love to stare at Ewan McGregor. Mm-hmm. So I would watch it over and over again.
Of course. And you should take him on a deserted island.
Okay, let's go across. Punxsutawney Mike has joined us.
Yes.
He's come press off stage. Well, I can never pronounce his name, so I now call him Punxsutawney Mike. Well-known groundhog and stand-up comedian. Punxsutawney, as I now want to call you, and unfortunately, you're going to be known this on stage from now on. It's just Punxsutawney Mike.
I've never been to Pennsylvania.
Well, I don't know what that's.
I don't know if I really want to though either.
Because that's where
Favorite musical? Do you have a favorite musical? And it can be something anal, going back to your childhood. Something.
Well, it's probably it.
What?
I would say that.
What? Wait.
Is there a musical on everybody poops? What the hell are you talking
children's
about?
movies.
It can be something anal.
Never mind.
It's poop of music.
I graduated from Washburn with a theater degree, a BA in theater. I've seen many musicals, and I've been a part of many musicals. And for me, it would just be very difficult to narrow it down to one favorite musical.
But you have to.
But I have to, exactly. I agree with many of the choices here. There are many musicals I have not seen. I haven't seen Wicked. I haven't seen Book of Mormon, which I kick myself for. But it would go back to my childhood. I was in the musical Peter Pan during the Neewalla musical. Neewalla
well done, you.
Right?
Independence, Kansas.
Yay, shout out.
Laugh it up, Chuckles.
And
So Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, because that at the time when that musical was first debuted, that was the best special effects you could get on stage.
You may not
Making
know
people
this, but
fly.
Bosun Shmee actually lives in Lawrence.
Huh.
Yeah, I can introduce you to him. Let's moving along. We've got a new president. Sorry, wrong country. President starting off in a few days' time. How can we be proud? And I'm very keen that we actually address this one specifically using the words of the question. How can we be proud of our country if and when we think our leaders are an embarrassment? Now, I'm not saying idiots or fools. I'm saying embarrassment. When they're an embarrassment. Start with Dr. Orlando.
So I think this is the point where we are actually most proud of our country. I think that we have had lots of presidents that we either thought were an embarrassment to the office going in or leaving. When you look at presidential approval ratings, someone like Truman, who can walk in with an 87% approval rating and then leave the office with a 25% approval rating, I think shows the strength of our country. And I think that's what we are proud of. I think that it is different to be embarrassed by your country for the temporal leader that leads it. But I think what makes me happy is the notion that I don't believe, or truthfully I do believe, but I hope Donald can't fuck this up too bad.
Jane.
Well, actually, this is something that I've been really struggling with. I know a lot of people have. I'm not like trying to say anything. I'm not very old, and I have only witnessed a few presidents going through the White House, but this is the very first time that I've actually truly been embarrassed. I have many foreign friends, and they ask me questions, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what to say, guys. G.W. Bush is the only other one that comes close to what I feel right now about his public speaking skills, especially. I remember watching the debates, and I'm like, oh my God, this man can't even speak. Like, how can he possibly? Yeah, but this man who has now entered this platform, I would take G.W. back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is just me. I am
Yeah,
exactly
that is frightening. Yeah.
exactly, and I don't know. I'm wrestling with it. I don't know what to think about it.
What about Dick Cheney?
We haven't.
Well, as Shrub said, I'm right behind you, Dick.
We haven't been quite in this territory yet. You're right. This is for the first time in this country. But, I've lived in a country that had a dictator, and, we weren't allowed to criticize him or to make fun of him, but we did, behind closed doors. And frankly, some people were punished for it. Some people disappeared. They were overheard by neighbors, So how are we going to deal with him, and how are we going to handle him? I can kind of judge based on experience from outside, from the outside. I also know that there's a lot of countries that have this kind of tyrants, and let's say Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, or obviously the situation in North Korea. There's actually many countries.
Yeah, but
And so
I
what
just
people
wanted to
do,
interrupt with a question.
yeah.
Does he remind you of what's the Italian guy?
Oh, yeah.
Berlusconi.
Berlusconi, yeah.
He's not. I mean, Berlusconi was
Was
probably
smarter.
far more intelligent.
Oh yeah.
Right.
There's no problem
But as far
behind
as
that.
like
Yeah.
the buffoonishness that you see in
The-
public life,
Yeah,
I'm literally just asking for your opinion.
You know, again, there's some elements of it, like his attitude towards women is very similar to Berlusconi. I agree. Berlusconi had affection for prostitutes and strippers and all that stuff. Berlusconi was not as racist and homophobic as this man is, and on some level he was equally repulsive. But at the same time, he was at least more intelligent, knew what people to hire for his cabinets, and was not going blatantly for the destruction of the government instead of running it. Yes, I'm sorry, Kathy. It's I was thinking that the way we probably will have to survive this is continue to kind of make fun of him. You know.
Did you belch?
Oh yeah, every time I think about him, I do.
Right. I just wondered. You know,
So-
it just sort of slipped out.
Yeah,
He
so
actually
yeah.
vomited. He just kind of kept it in. That's
Yeah,
all.
I mean,
It's just
gagging
in case
is.
you want to know, it's called a trunch.
It's yeah.
When one belches.
Well,
I'm thinking of him.
I'm gagging,
Kathleen.
I'm just gagging.
Well, I was just you were mentioning.
We said the word embarrassment.
I know.
Yeah.
That I think Italy was more or less embarrassed
Oh, yeah,
by
yeah.
Berlusconi.
Yeah.
And he was smarter than Trump. Other countries that have had dictators forced on them
Oh yeah.
through stealing of elections and so on, that's different. Yes, our country, much of it was misled, but there wasn't any outright cheating. If they were stupid enough to believe the stuff they read on the internet, that means I'm embarrassed for our country.
Well, there's a lot of manipulation, but we live in an age where this kind of digital manipulation is possible. You know, it probably is going to happen all over the world now.
And we haven't educated people enough to know the difference between, or not just the difference, but to know how to decide whether something is correct or not.
I mean, Duterte was elected in the Philippines, you know, and you know, people
there
can.
are those who would say that he's cleaning up the Philippines. There are those. And Tyler, you know, normally you beat the shit out of people when you don't agree with them.
You can't talk about that.
You're not able to do that with a president.
Let's go back to
Well-
your word embarrassment.
Yeah, that's really where I want to go.
Honestly, and this kind of harkens a little bit to what Kath was saying. I understand why people voted for him. I get it. They wanted change. They were not informed. They didn't really quite understand the level of
Corruption
and ridiculousness and just horrific individual that this person is. However, I would be more embarrassed if in 4 years he gets reelected. If that were to happen, then I would stop calling myself an American. To be honest, that's when I would become extremely embarrassed to call myself an American.
I honestly
and be part
don't
of this
think
country.
he's
Well,
going to
actually,
make it a year. He's going to
No,
make
honestly,
I've
I
been
kind of
wondering that
hope
myself.
that, but I also thought that Bush Jr. wouldn't get reelected.
Don't
and yet,
forget,
look
we've
what
been
happened
there. I want to go to.
Hold on, I actually want to springboard off what you just said. I have a question. I'm assuming everybody here watched the farewell address by Obama.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Did anybody else get pissed off by the farewell address? I did.
I didn't.
I got extremely pissed off by the farewell address because if Obama and as a proxy of Clinton had come out and said that stuff in January of 2016,
It would have helped.
we would have a different president.
Yeah,
we
you're
would
right.
have a
yeah.
different president
On
elect.
this level, I was upset. Yes, you're right.
I
You're
know. I
upset.
thought it was a fantastic speech. I
Yeah.
had the tears in my eyes and
Yeah.
all the right places.
But he should have been doing this. Should have been doing this
Those
everywhere.
concerns that
Yeah.
he outlined in that speech were exactly the message that our
Needed to-
populace
yeah.
needed to hear.
Yeah.
That people matter. What doesn't matter what the color, doesn't matter what the sex, doesn't matter what the race. Here's your frustration as a people, and here's how I'm going to solve. Here's how we need to solve them. And that's the thing that was missing throughout the entire election.
I mean, Hillary was saying those things, but her
she
delivery was
truly,
different.
Truly was not. That was my
She was saying things that the country, America, is for everybody, not just for this and that. She was saying these things. Her delivery is different.
It is the
That's
difference
it.
between.
She doesn't know how to deliver it.
We have to move on.
No, not yet. It's the difference between saying Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. There's a difference when you pick out a particular problem and address it versus saying everybody's got problems and we're going to fix it.
Well, I think with President Obama, one of the things that was extremely important to him is he took a lot of time and a lot of effort to not influence the election. And I don't know if that was his attempt to make Hillary feel like she won it on her own. I don't know. That's between the two of them.
No, I agree. I think that's exactly
but
it.
I think the reason that we didn't hear that is because he willingly chose, you know what, I'm not going to influence the election. I'm going to stay in the back.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Are we back to the host?
We can go
No,
back
it's
to
your
the
show
yes.
now.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Tony. When you're doing stand-up, what sort of vibe are you getting from the audience about where we're at as with regard to our new president being an embarrassment?
Well, I have some personal experience. It was right after the election, and I did an open mic at Kansas City, and it was right before Thanksgiving. My joke was about, oh, you guys are drinking, great, because you want to be so drunk in the morning, you won't even be able to talk about politics with all your relatives you hate. And
I like it.
Immediately, there's some people in the back just going, Trump, Trump, Trump. And I'm just like, yeah, we were there.
Ouch.
We were all there. You lost too, buddy, in the back. You
Do
came
you
to
think
the
there's an
free
element
open mic.
of Obama going in his speech yesterday, reminding everybody of the things he'd done, of the hopes and everything else, and going, fuck you, you stupid bastards. I'm the first black president. We've done all these things, and you've elected Trump. Stuff you. You're a bunch of idiots, sort of thing. Because that's what came across to me. He was, in fact, telling Americans off.
No, I don't see that.
Sort of blaming them for, you
If he
could
was-
have.
Honestly, I really
No,
don't
he
see it that
actually
way.
stopped the
because
booze.
honestly, I really don't see it that way. Because every time you have a liberal president, every time we as a nation, as a society, take a step forward, we tend to take one or two steps backwards. And this has been our history throughout our culture in America. And I think it wasn't so much he was kind of giving the middle finger, he was kind of reminding people of this. It's like, look what you just did. Look at this giant step you took forward when you elected me. And look at all the things I was able to get done because you had trust in this liberal black man to actually do this. And now you've taken this huge step backwards and you've elected this homophobic, xenophobic idiot. And so just remember, look at all the things when you were willing to actually try and actually maybe just tried to change a little bit. Look at all the good that came out of it. That's what
You
he was
used
doing.
a word just now, trust. And we live in a low-trust society. There's no question about that right now. So, bearing in mind who is going to be the next president, who do we trust? Now, I'll stay with you, Tyler, since you started it. Specifically, don't want to debate it. Who do we trust now? Is it the Pope? Who? I don't know. Who? Who do we trust?
Did you really just say the Pope?
I did.
He did.
I mean,
He
who?
did.
who
Not a bad choice right now.
Who do we trust?
I'm not gonna
Is
lie.
it Tom Hanks?
If
I
you
don't know.
if you want some famous individual, like a senator or some politician or whatnot, I'm not sure I could use the word trust. I can use the word hope. I do have hope that, for example, I have hope that the CIA and the FBI are going to kind of go up to Trump and be like, you know what? You want to attack us? That's really fucking stupid because we're going to take you down. I have hope that maybe there will be members within the Congress that will maybe put a stop to what Trump wants to do. I have hope. Now, do I trust that's going to happen? That's a different story. But if you want me to pinpoint one individual as far as to trust, really, I just trust the people around me. That's it. If you're outside of my circle, especially if, I don't know if I could do that because I really
Dr.
don't
Orlando,
know what
who do
tomorrow's
you
going to bring.
trust?
I was just going to concur with Mr. Durden here that as a society, as a people, as a social entity, we are pre-programmed to trust the people that are around us and to distrust the people that are not near us. So we all have this tendency to trust who we know and who hasn't already screwed us over. and to distrust those that we don't know. And right now, as far as a national public scale, I feel like I'm going to be the only person at the table that will say this, but right now, on a national scale, I got Bernie, and that's it.
Yeah.
How about Elizabeth Warren?
Or Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Those are the people that
take
we
those
can
two.
trust. As far as the other folks, there's no...
How about Al Franken?
Al Franken is good
No.
entertainment.
But
That's a
So
cute, that's
we're
it,
going
he's
to Kathleen.
entertainment.
Kathleen has come up with Elizabeth Warren. She's the first person has actually come up with a name.
No, there are some Democratic senators, mostly senators.
Came from Virginia or West Virginia that was grilling Tillerson today.
Wasn't
He had
that-
some really great
Doesn't
Yeah.
points.
Rex Tillerson sounds like somebody from a Douglas Adams novel? Like
I was
Rex
thinking that, or a
Tillerson-
Johnny
Captain Rex
Quest
Tillerson.
cartoon or something like
I
that.
think, as Evo would say, it's a great name for a band.
Yeah.
Evo, who would you trust? I mean, in American politics right now, do you have someone that you feel comfortable with?
In American politics, I do like Gavin Newsom, who is going to be the next governor of California, and I think he's going to run for president at some point.
You don't think that Adam Carolla interview torpedoed him?
No, he was fantastic in that interview and just exposed the bigotry of Adam Carolla.
I agree. I agree 100%.
He was so collected and calm and just exposed what kind of racist Adam Carolla
Jane,
is.
who-
no, I haven't.
Oh,
I
sorry.
still have some stuff. So I was thinking about him. I'm not saying that you should trust him. Completely. I like science. In this day and age when there's fake news, there's alternate realities created by Trump or whoever it is, I like to step on something solid, the very last piece of land that is not shaken by lies and false news and stuff is science, empirical information. I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast. Love his podcast. He has political opinions sometimes. I like him. I trust this guy, and of course Snoop Dogg. I mean, who doesn't trust Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Lion.
Snoop
Jane,
Lion.
do you have anyone you
That's
trust?
still his name?
Well, I'm actually
I
going
was
to take
gonna
this
say.
down to a more personal level because of something that Tyler had said about his inner circle of people. Recently, I've had something really horrible happen to even my inner circle of people to completely dash the illusion of trust. And I've been struggling with this on a daily basis because I started thinking about a line from a movie that Joe Pesci was in the 90s, and he said,
My Cousin
you
Vinny?
have No, it was actually with honors. He said you have to trust people. You just can't believe in the warranty. And I started thinking about that, and I don't know. I'm shaken. I can't even think about who I can trust in an inner circle, let alone.
What kind of betrayal was that?
We need to know now. I mean, what a betrayal.
It's personal.
You can tell us. No. I mean, we're your family.
It's okay.
Yeah, nobody
I'll
will
just keep
know.
it to myself.
Yeah, trust me, nobody listens to this podcast. You say this here, it will be gone forever.
What about Tim? Tim.
I'll plug
Yeah,
my
what
ears so
about
I don't have to hear.
Punxsutawney, do you have anyone you trust as a groundhog?
Trust with what? Exactly.
I mean, every year they come and get you by your ass and stuff.
Information, somebody's
just-
giving you information. Who
Just
do you trust?
accurate information?
Do you have a politician you trust?
Oh, well, Warren and Bernie and whoever is going to vote a nay against anything Trump proposes, against anything any of those guys propose.
Yeah, it's trustworthy, basically.
It could be Medicare for all that they propose, and if Trump proposes it, vote against it. That's my guy.
Interest-
That's how Trump's going to screw us. He's going to throw in the occasional not horrible idea.
That's what I am so wondering about. That's what I am wondering about. Is he going to throw out any of the things that will just make us think, what?
Just today-
Where did that come from?
Just today, after doing a million insane things, after this horrible news conference, after belittling a reporter, after appointing Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who believes in conspiracy theories about vaccines, to lead the Vaccine Commission. Yeah. After doing all this, he dropped
Anti-EPA
this.
or anti-environment,
Yeah.
EPA, anti-education.
Yeah. So
Head
after
of the
doing all this
education.
just today, he dropped this. The pharmaceutical companies have been getting away with murder. Absolute truth. Absolute truth. And everybody suddenly, oh my God, he said something that actually makes sense. He's a genius. You know, it's a distraction strategy. It's-
Oh yeah.
Let's change track just a little bit. So we're coming towards the end of our time, and the last one I want the panel to talk about. Microsoft acquired LinkedIn.
Oh.
LinkedIn has 467 million members. 467 million members.
Absolutely worthless, by the
A
way.
handful of companies hold huge banks of personal data and can use that data effectively however they like. So they can use it effectively however they like. How do we start to legislate to control them?
Data mining. We need anti-data mining legislation.
Yeah,
essentially.
it's going to be the next big political elephant in the room that people are going to, after they've got over the American election and everything else and Brexit, they're going to be starting to look at personal data being held by large companies that can be
It's
used.
scary. I have to
No,
admit
they're
it.
not.
They're not.
No, never. They will never.
Companies
that's
have
already
held
over.
data on people. Southwestern, when I was 6 years old, or no, 8 years old, I went to a Southwestern Bell relay station in my hometown.
What the hell?
It's just
was
a son-
6-year-old be doing it?
No, I was
What's
8.
wrong with you, man?
I was 8. I wasn't
There's no
6.
playgrounds.
Did
No,
they
no,
still?
St.
Did they
Louis.
still have the
Jesus
ponies
Christ.
and everything there?
No,
You
this
wanna
was
go
just
play at the
one of the.
relay
I was
station.
in some funky science camp, and they took us
okay.
to the AT&T, the Southwestern Bell at the time, relay station, and they showed us how they had. No. Hear me out. They showed us how the phone company had moved from that. Image that you had in your head of, the operator connecting your call for you to this computer. Yeah. This computer that could connect any call just by the dial tones. And because they had that, they also had a record of every single call that you made. So the phone company has been gathering information on its users since the early to mid 60s, right?
Yeah.
This is something that has always gone on. And the interesting thing about it is that nobody cares. Nobody has ever cared. The reason I brought up that trip is because it was the very first time that I was terrified of what the government could have on my family.
Yeah.
Simply because it's like, oh, so you mean we don't have any secrets from Southwestern Bell? That was my 8 years old. That's my immediate thought. We have no secrets from this company. So, yeah, this is not something that's new. This is not going to be the next big political elephant because this has existed for 40 years with complete impunity. And the folks that are doing it don't go out of their way to make it a big deal. You don't hear anything. You hear about Target when they have the data breach. What you don't hear is what data Target just released or just got stolen from Target.
Yeah.
We all use our information, give our information away without thinking about it in the slightest. Because if you did, you would be frozen, unable to do most of the commerce that we do today.
Evo.
Yeah. Well, it's already too late, Jeremy. I mean, all the data they've been mining, there's so much out there. Facebook alone, they have billions of users. And every time you like something, it goes into a data bank. And it's held forever. So, when you see advertisement on your Facebook page, it's because you liked something that's related to this information. LinkedIn is the same way. LinkedIn to me was a trick. It wasn't even useful. I don't think it's useful as a company, as a portfolio for you looking for a job. It's not useful. I think it was a trick to bait you into sharing personal information and then selling that personal information. So LinkedIn just achieved their goal. They sold all of these 495 million users. They sold them to Microsoft. That was their goal.
Kathleen.
Yeah.
As regards personal information in the hand of people who shouldn't have it, that cat is out of that bag.
Yes, exactly.
We're
That's
done.
what I was saying. Yeah.
We're going to have to
Still
learn how to do credit cards and stuff without it. I mean, maybe we need to go back to cash money. Something's got to
And
give.
couriers, like Trump suggested, just like
Trump uses
UPS, pigeons,
Tyler, do you have any thoughts on this? Before
smoke signals.
No, not really.
No.
In my personal opinion, if you really want to stop this, you just set off an EMP, like a global EMP.
Right.
That would take care of it.
Okay, so look, well, I think we've probably covered it with some other subjects
I
we
got
wanted
something.
to do.
Okay.
Well,
I got
Punxsutawney's,
something.
He saw his shadow.
the trouble is he keeps coming
He's
back.
gonna tell us.
He keeps coming back.
6 more weeks of winter.
It's not necessarily the data mining that's the problem. It's the data dissemination that's the problem.
Oh, big word there from Punxsutawney.
But one's inevitable. If they mine
Exactly.
it, they're going to
It
disseminate
can
it.
be breached. There are cybersecurity concerns. If you noticed, your debit card recently has a chip in it now. That is supposed to
enable you
prevent
to use a
that.
PIN number,
But then-
which they're not bothering with.
right.
No, it just
right?
tracks you.
And it also just is a big pain in the ass half the time.
Than to swipe.
Yeah, and then that horrible beeping noise. But as long as they're held to accountable standards, like the chip technology is, that I believe was a part of regulation standards, where they had to reduce the amount of liabilities that people were incurring because of debit card fraud and things of the such. That we do need to address the data mining. We do need to address the dissemination of the information, but they're not going to do it, though. But they're not going to do it.
No, the cat's out of the bag. The bird has flown. The ship has sailed. Whatever.
I'd like to thank our panel for tonight, the Kathleen, Dr. Orlando, Jane Carter, Tyler Durden, Ivo Ivanov, our engineers, of course, Eric Holcomb, Neil Rasmussen, Tom Conroy, wherever he is, for letting us do this every week. Punxsutawney, he just keeps coming back. Like to welcome you to our podcast tonight.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. It's been a pleasure.
You're very welcome, dear boy. And as he says, we're all going to die in a few days' time.
We're all going to die.
From me, your host, Jeremy Taylor, thanks for joining in on Wednesday Night Undressed, the podcast you all love to eat steak fries too. See you next week. Yay!